Samurai Shodown 3 Blades of Blood, or as I know it, Samurai Spirits斬紅郎無双剣, was released into the arcades November 15th, 1995. Unlike the previous games, this has a darker aesthetic. All the characters consequently underwent a visual makeover to match this new tone. Along with the aesthetic overhaul came significant changes in the gameplay, with the introduction of 2 selectable versions of each character, Slash or Burst. Each version comes with its own moves and fighting styles. Slash is much closer to the first 2 games, while Burst is a more aggressive style that introduces new moves. Despite the changes, Samurai Spirits 3 is still a beautiful looking and playing game. It's also one of the few games that manages to sound amazing even though many of the stages have little to no music. It most certainly isn't a game for everyone though. It's quite a challenge to learn the gameplay and not a game you can just pick up and play. Still, if you're willing to give it time, I'm sure you'll enjoy Samurai Spirits 3. Now you may be thinking that the Neo Geo CD version of Samurai Spirits 3 is the same as the cartridge version, but it's actually quite inferior. Sure, it now has a CD soundtrack, but it's missing quite a few details. The first point you'll notice is the lack of animation on the character select screen. The second point is that many of the raster effects used to give the illusion that the stage floor has height are also missing. I'm even in 2 minds in confirming if the actual in-game character animation is all there. I don't know, but it looks like there may be a few frames missing. Or maybe that's just my imagination. As you'd expect, the PlayStation port is your typical affair. No surprise that the loading is everywhere, with one of the most awful loading screens ever. Looking at this thing makes your eyes go strange, and you'll be looking at it a lot. Animation is compromised as to be expected, and that includes the character select screen, just like the Neo Geo CD port. It's once we get into the game do we see how poor this port is. Again, just like the Neo Geo CD game, the raster effects for the floor on certain stages is missing, but that's nothing compared to the horrible lag, making pulling off moves quite a pain at times. You can get used to it, but why should you have to in the first place? The audio is also weak thanks to the muffled voice samples and harsh sound effects. Samurai Spirits Zákuro Musoken is the Game Boy version of Samurai Spirits 3, released with Super Game Boy support capabilities, as you can see here. Unlike the arcade and console versions, the Game Boy version lacks Kenshiro Senryo and Gaira Caffeine. Is that how it's pronounced? But adds Jubi Yaku back to the roster as a hidden final boss, exclusively for the game. The handheld version also builds on adding 3 Samurai Shodown 3 borders for the Super Game Boy users, one being the default border, the second shown after the 2 bosses are unlocked, and the third one used for the endings. For the first time in a portable Samurai Shodown game, blood was also featured, but only in black dripping colour. The Game Boy port was released only in Japan by developers Takara, the same team responsible for porting several other SNK arcade games to multiple platforms and handhelds. We'll finish off this battle of the ports with the Saturn version. Just like the PlayStation and the Geo CD, this port has lengthy loading times, although quicker and far less frequent than the other two CD-based consoles. It's also the only port to feature the floor raster effects found in the arcade version. Curiously, the character animation during the character select screen is also missing in this port. The audio is also a lower sample quality than the Neo Geo original, but still better than that found on the PlayStation game. So how about playability? Does this version also suffer from lag? Absolutely not. The Saturn port plays perfectly, plus the mostly complete animation frames also add to its fluency. And let's take a look at all those versions of Samurai Shodown 3 running side by side.